All right. So are you ready to dive into one of the most incredible cyber heists ever?
I am. This one's wild.
Yeah, this one is going to make you rethink just about everything you thought you knew about online security.
Definitely.
Okay. So picture this. You have a financial institution.
Okay.
They're boasting about having the world's most secure digital vault. I mean, they're talking about 256-bit encryption, air-gapped servers. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And then, poof, billions of dollars just vanish.
It's crazy.
The hacker is gone, just disappears without a trace.
Yeah, like a ghost.
So how is that even possible? Well, that's exactly what we're going to try and figure out today.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what's so mind-boggling is that it wasn't like, someone with a supercomputer just crunching numbers trying to exploit like a software vulnerability or something.
Right.
This whole heist, it was planned around something way more subtle
Uh-huh.
and frankly a lot more unsettling. And that's social engineering.
Social engineering. Yeah, it kind of sounds almost polite, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, it's all about hackers going after people, not systems.
Mm.
It's like they say the weakest link in any security system is often us.
The human element, yeah.
Yeah, the human element.
Yeah.
And in this case, I mean, uh, that weakness cost someone a cool $3.2 billion.
Yeah. They targeted a person, not the technology, and a disgruntled former employee, a cybersecurity engineer, no less.
Oh, wow.
And this hacker, I mean, they spent weeks just crafting a believable persona. They were hacking into emails, even spoofing phone numbers just
Right.
to look like a recruiter, offering like this amazing job.
So it was all about just building up trust, huh?
Yeah.
So that their target felt like they were talking to, somebody legitimate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. Especially if you're feeling like kind of undervalued or overlooked where you're working.
Right?
Yeah. And that desire for, some recognition for like wanting something better. I mean, that can make you vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes social engineering so insidious, right? It preys on basic human instincts, our desire to be helpful, to trust others.
Yeah.
But in the digital age, that trust can be dangerous.
Oh.
And in this case, it was just this little seed of trust, that willingness to like open up to someone they thought was on their side, and that was all the hacker needed.
So the hacker gets the trust of this former employee. What happens next? I mean, did they just come right out and ask for the password to the vault?
Not quite. This hacker was way more subtle than that. They knew they couldn't just, come out and ask for sensitive information. So instead, they just steered the conversation towards just seemingly harmless details about the system, like security protocols, software updates, that kind of thing.
So just kind of like a casual chat about work.
Exactly. Nothing, alarming at all.
Right.
But buried within that casual chatter, the ex-employee revealed this like totally insignificant detail about the security protocols.
Well, I'm guessing that insignificant detail wasn't so insignificant after all.
Not at all. I mean, this tiny bit of information was the missing piece of the puzzle.
Oh, wow.
It let them reverse engineer the entire security protocol, bypass multi-factor authentication. I mean, they essentially created a master key to the vault.
It's incredible.
It's a scary example of how even the most secure system can be compromised if that human element is exploited.
So they basically tricked this former employee into giving them the keys to the kingdom without even realizing what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And it's terrifying when you think about like the implications. If a system this secure could be breached with some social engineering, what does that say about our own online security?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, how do we protect ourselves when the threat isn't some faceless algorithm, but another person who figured out how to manipulate our trust?
Yeah. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And that's something that we'll be going into way more detail about as this deep dive goes on. But first, let's get back to this heist itself. So the hacker has the keys to the kingdom. How do they pull off the theft?
Yeah.
So one night, the financial institution's security systems just mysteriously went dark.
Oh, wow.
For just 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes, that's all it took. In that small window, they executed an untraceable script that silently transferred $3.2 billion in cryptocurrency into a network of, I mean, who knows, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of anonymous wallets.
Wait, hold on. Anonymous wallets. How does that even work? I mean, how can you have like a bank account that's completely anonymous?
So That's where the nature of cryptocurrency comes in.
Okay.
So unlike traditional banking systems, crypto transactions, they're all recorded on this public ledger called a blockchain.
Okay.
So while all of the transactions are public, the identities of the people involved, those can be masked using all kinds of techniques, so it makes it super hard to trace the flow of funds.
So it's kind of like a digital version of like a Swiss bank account, right?
Yeah, in a way,
Yeah.
yes. And in this case, the hacker leveraged the anonymity of the blockchain to make the stolen funds virtually untraceable.
Jeez. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant, but, totally devious strategy.
Yeah, no kidding. So we've
Yeah.
got this disgruntled ex-employee, a master manipulator hacker, a brief security lapse, and billions of dollars disappearing, into the ether.
Yeah.
So what happened next? I mean, did anyone ever figure out who was behind this?
Well, that's where the real mystery is. So the investigation that followed was one of the most extensive investigations in history. I mean, they had agencies from all over the globe involved, but despite all of their efforts, the hacker just disappeared. No trace.
Seriously. They couldn't find a single clue. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars. Somebody had to notice something, right?
You'd think, right, but this hacker, I mean, they were a master.
Yeah.
They covered their tracks so well, they didn't leave any fingerprints, no real-world connections, nothing. I mean, it's like they just erased themselves after they pulled this off.
It's like something out of a spy novel.
Right. The perfect crime.
Right.
Except this was real.
Right.
This is a real heist with very real consequences. And to make it even worse, just weeks after the theft, a single cryptic message popped up on a dark web forum.
Ooh. Okay. Cryptic message. So tell me, what did it say?
The message was encrypted, of course.
Of course.
And it just said, the greatest heist is the one where they never even know who took it.
Wow.
It's this, chilling reminder that sometimes in the digital world, the greatest threats are the ones that are working in the shadows, unseen, unheard,
Totally.
until it's too late.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that message, like the greatest heist is the one where they never even know who took it. It's
chilling.
it's brilliant, but it's like unsettling too.
Yeah, it is.
But before we get too lost in all this mystery, I think we need to back up for a second
Okay.
and unpack this whole idea of social engineering a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about it with this heist, but it feels like this is something that could happen to just about anyone.
You're absolutely right. Social engineering, I mean, it's not limited to just these huge heists like the one we're talking about. It's happening all over the place. I mean, every day.
Yeah.
And the more that we understand about it, the better we'll be able to, protect ourselves.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are some of the most common tactics that these social engineers use?
Okay.
And how do we even spot them?
So at its core, social engineering is all about manipulating people into doing things that they wouldn't normally do.
Right.
It's about exploiting our natural tendencies, to trust, to be helpful, and sometimes even to be a little greedy, right?
So it's not about hacking into computers. I mean, it's about hacking into human psychology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways to do that. One of the most common tactics is something called phishing. So, I mean, you've probably seen these emails that look like they're from your bank or from some legitimate company, right?
Uh-huh.
And they ask you to click a link and, update your account information.
Oh, yeah. I get those all the time.
Yeah.
They usually go straight to my spam folder, though.
Good. That's good. I mean, you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But even, pretty savvy internet users can fall for these phishing scams, especially when they're really well crafted.
Uh-huh.
And hackers, I mean, they're getting more and more sophisticated,
Yeah.
creating emails that look almost exactly like the real deal. They even mimic logos and, the language of legit companies.
Right. So what should we be looking for? Are there any red flags that can kind of tip us off that it's one of these phishing scams?
Yeah, there are definitely red flags. First of all, you want to pay attention to the sender's email address.
Okay.
Does it actually match the official address of the company that it says it's from?
Right.
Oftentimes you'll see little misspellings or variations that show that it's fake.
Okay. So Amazon.com instead of Amazon.com.
Yeah, exactly. Another red flag is a sense of urgency in the message.
Okay.
So these phishing emails, a lot of times they'll try to scare you into doing something right away, claiming that your account's been compromised or that you have to update your info immediately to avoid some kind of penalty.
Oh, okay. So if an email is making me feel stressed or pressured, That's a good sign to slow down and really take a closer look.
For sure. I mean, legit companies rarely operate that way.
Yeah.
And if you're ever even a little bit unsure about an email, don't click any links. Don't open attachments.
Yeah.
Just contact the company directly through their official website or phone number to verify the message.
Okay. Good advice. So, phishing is one tactic. What are some other ways that these social engineers try and manipulate people?
Another common tactic is something called pretexting.
Okay.
So this is where the hacker creates a totally made-up scenario or story to gain your trust. Like they might call you, pretend to be from tech support, saying that there's a problem with your computer and they need to, remote in to fix it.
And once they have remote access, they can get like passwords, bank information, I mean, anything on your computer, right?
Absolutely. And that's why you have to be super careful about giving anyone remote access to your devices.
Yeah.
Even if they seem totally legit.
Right.
Always verify their identity using like a different channel
Right.
before you ever give them control of your system.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, trust but verify.
Right.
Okay. So we've got phishing, we've got pretexting. What else should we be on the lookout for?
Another one that's becoming more and more common is baiting.
Okay.
So this is where the hacker offers something enticing, like a free download, a gift card, access to like exclusive content or whatever, to get you to click on a bad link or download something that's got malware in it.
Ooh, that's sneaky. It's
Yeah.
playing on our desire to get something for nothing, huh?
Exactly. So be wary of any like random offers that seem too good to be true. Because remember, if it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.
yeah.
It probably is.
Okay. Good advice. So we've covered phishing, pretexting, and baiting. Are there any other social engineering tactics that we should be aware of?
There's another one. It's called quid pro quo,
Okay. What is that?
which basically translates to something for something.
Okay.
So this is where someone offers you a service or some help in exchange for information or access.
Okay. Give me an example.
Okay. So say you're having trouble connecting to, your work's Wi-Fi.
Right.
Someone comes up to you saying that they're from IT and they offer to help you get connected. But in return, they ask for your login credentials.
Ooh, that's tricky. Because it seems helpful, but you're basically giving them the keys to your whole online life.
Exactly. And that's what makes social engineering so dangerous.
Yeah.
It exploits our desire to be helpful, to like solve problems,
Yeah.
to trust that people are who they say they are.
It's clear that these social engineers are like masters of manipulation.
They know how to exploit our weaknesses.
Push our buttons.
Yeah, push our buttons and make us do stuff we wouldn't normally do.
Right. But the good news is, by understanding their tactics, recognizing these red flags, and being more mindful when we're online, we can make it a lot harder for them to get us.
So it's all about awareness,
Mm-hmm.
education,
Yeah.
and, taking those extra steps to like really verify identities.
Right.
Protect our information. I mean, it sounds like we all need to become a little bit more like detectives in our digital lives, huh?
I love that analogy. In the digital age, you just can't blindly trust everything you see or hear online anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be a critical thinker, question motives, double-check information.
Right.
Be wary of anything that just seems off.
This has been really eye-opening. I feel like I've already learned so much,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely going to be way more careful online.
Yeah, it really is amazing how these social engineers can take like our natural instincts and use them against us. I mean, you would think with all the technology that we have, we'd be more secure than ever.
Yeah,
But it really does seem like that human element, that's always going to be a weak spot.
it's true. I mean, technology, it can only take us so far.
Yeah.
I mean, we can build firewalls, we can encrypted data and implement multi-factor authentication and all that.
Uh-huh.
But, when it comes down to it, it often comes down to human judgment,
Mhm.
human behavior.
Right.
And that's where social engineers, they really excel.
Yeah.
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 They get our psychology, they understand our weaknesses, but they know how to use all of that to their advantage.
But what can we even do about it? I mean, are we just like sitting ducks in this digital world, constantly looking over our shoulder, waiting for the next attack? Not at all. Like we've been talking about, the key is awareness. The more we know about social engineering, the better we'll be at spotting it and avoiding it.
Right.
And there's a ton of practical stuff we can do to make ourselves less vulnerable.
Okay, so let's dive into those practical steps. I mean, what can people listening do, like right now, to make sure that they don't become a victim of this?
So one of the most important things is to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Don't just believe everything that you see or hear online.
Okay.
Verify information, double-check your sources, and if something seems a little too good to be true, it probably is.
So it's about kind of having that healthy sense of skepticism,
Yeah.
that trust but verify mindset.
Exactly. And that goes for all of your interactions online, whether it's an email, a phone call, a message on social media, or even, just a website.
Speaking of websites, are there any, like, red flags that we should be keeping an eye out for when we're on a website?
Yeah, for sure. You should always check the website's URL
Okay.
to make sure that it's the real deal.
Uh-huh.
Look for the padlock icon in the address bar.
Yeah.
That shows that the site's using like a secure connection. Be careful about websites that have spelling mistakes or grammar errors.
Oh,
Those can be signs that it's a fake site.
okay.
And be really cautious about entering personal information on any site that you're not like totally sure about.
Got it. So it's all about being observant,
Yeah.
like paying attention to the little details and being, just a little paranoid in a
Yeah.
healthy way, of course.
Of course. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
So if you get an email or a phone call and something just feels off, just call the company directly and see if it's real.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's better to be safe than sorry.
For sure. And, it's not just about protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about looking out for other people, too.
Yep.
Especially the people who might be more vulnerable, like older folks or people who aren't as familiar with tech.
So, we have a responsibility to share what we know, right? To educate our friends and family and to help create, a safer online world for everybody.
I think that's a great way to put it. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And the more we work together to teach each other and spread awareness, the stronger we'll be.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm definitely going to be way more careful online.
That's great to hear.
So before we go, any final thoughts, any advice for our listeners?
Yeah. Remember, knowledge is power.
Okay.
The more you know about social engineering, the better you can protect yourself. Stay informed, stay vigilant, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Great advice. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise with us.
You're welcome.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope that you found it helpful. So remember, in this digital age, your best defense is a healthy dose of skepticism and a commitment to staying in the know. Stay safe out there, and until next time, keep exploring.